Hello guys and welcome to my video. Today I'm gonna talk to you guys about how to be the right trader. Let's get started. First things first, personality traits. They are very important to you as a trader and you need to understand what type of personality trait you have. Less patience than usual would be good for scalpers. The reason being is because as a scalper, you can just get in and get out from the trades, right? More patience would be good for intraday traders because the setup can happen on a specific day and you can hold for the whole of the daily range, which is something that some people actually want to do because they give you the best risk to reward ratio as well. The most patient people, they are good for swing trading because they can wait patiently on the daily chart, the weekly chart, and take the trade based on the technical analysis. It is a higher probability than intraday and scalping as well, right? But at the same time, all these three personality traits they go in with high stress, medium stress, and low stress. The reason being scalping is very high stress because it's very fast paced, whilst the intraday trading is a bit more medium stress because there's still potentials for fluctuation or volatility that can take your trade out of break even or in profit, depending if you trail or not. And for most patients, well, you choose your own thing, and there is more higher probability than this two, to be honest. But anyways, me personally, I'm between scalping and intraday trading. I'd rather get into intraday trading because it gives you the best risk to reward ratio compared to scalping. And scalping is high stress, intraday medium stress, and most patients least amount of stress. So let's end it at that. And let's talk about personality traits. First things first, you need to understand that within an athlete, in this case a trader as well, there's two types of personalities. Need to avoid failure, need to achieve. Need to avoid failure type of trader does the bare minimum just to try and to make some profits. They go learn bits and bobs, but they do not dive deep into what is trading, right? They build a specific model that might not be as effective because they don't have backtesting data and they just trade off of it and they trade off the feeling as well. Being enough means that they don't do more than what's expected. And they are also within the people that give up as well after a certain period of losses. The reason is because in the mentality of it, they be thinking, oh, your market's rigged, or I can't trade or whatever, right? No one's born a trader. You have to learn to be a trader. You have to progress yourself to become a trader. That is a very important thing. Let's talk about the need to achieve. Within this personality traits, we have innovators, people who are highly motivated and who stay up countless nights trying to learn and perfect every single aspect of trading, risk management, sniper entries, and trade management. They are the people who have the mindset on this being the breakthrough, and despite every setback, they just keep pushing up until they make it. The need to achieve people are people who will end up being successful in any stage of their life, right? If they put the work in, they will get a reward out of it. The more time you put in, the more you get out. The time does the heavy lifting in this case. So this is very important to understand. This is a little preface as well. So how do you retrain yourself as a trader? Let's talk about the Weiner's attribution model. So first things first, let's look at the internal factors. So factors that are within you as a person. So we have the ability and the effort. So the ability is a stable thing. It can only go up, it can't go down. Reason being, let's say you ride a bike. As you ride a bike, you learn how to ride a bike, and your synapses and whatever they just start forming and whatnot, right? Let's say you stopped riding a bike for whatever reason. You pick it up like 15 years later, right? You will still be able to ride the bike just because you have built the synapses and you know how to ride a bike. It might take you a minute or two to getting used to, but then you'll be able to ride whatever distance you can ride, of course. And that is very important because your ability never goes down and only goes up. But what goes up and comes down is the effort, your motivation, your discipline. Some people out there, be having a moment where they just 3 a.m. strikes and they start fucking doing whatever, how many push-ups and whatever. Then they wake up the next morning and never do it again, right? Effort levels are variable. You want to flatten that curve and be able to take it into chunks. Every day, set yourself a goal. What I want to do today. As an example, I want to make a video today. Boom. I've made a video today. And then what about tomorrow? I'll make another video. This is the approach that you should take just because you are splitting it into chunks. If I was making 5 videos a day, right, I would be on the floor dying, right? Because scripting, talking, fixing the video, editing, and all these things, right? They do take a lot of effort. And in 5 days, that means it takes up basically the whole of the day, because I take multiple takes of my video and see which one is the best one as well. This, as an example, is my third take, right? So really depending on your effort, it's best if you just flatten the curve and take it day by day. Okay, let's talk about the external factors now. Task difficulty and luck, right? Let's talk about task difficulty. Using the bike as an example, right? When you first ride a bike as a kid, you find it very hard. And that's just because, of course, you're not used to riding a bike. You might fall down once or twice, right? But then it gets easier. And that is the main thing. Sometimes what's hardest for you, it gets easier in the future. Same applies to trading, technical analysis, and psychology. As a From a psychology standpoint, of course, what's best for you to make it easier in trading is to journal and talk about your feelings and how you feel, just because you can learn from it and you can make the difficulty of understanding yourself psychologically better. And also within the charts as well, your technical analysis, maybe you missed out a certain detail and whatnot, right? You journal it. The more you journal it, the more you understand, and you find these little cues right there, here and there, so you can take the opportunity when the next comes. And let's talk about luck. Luck is the worst thing that a trader should rely on, just because luck is not technical analysis. You're telling me that as a trader, you hope for the trade to hit DP. Why do you not have your level set out on which you might find rejection, in which you might find this? It is a probability game, right? But us as traders, especially ICT traders, we trade precision. We trade and we have our certain levels marked out. If a specific level gets invalidated, that's when you know how to get out of trade, right? That is the most important thing ever. You, as a trader, you really have to understand that luck is not in your favor. It might be in your favor to make one or two payouts, right? But what about next? What's going to happen next? Your luck is going to run out. It's best for you if you just don't rely on luck and rely on your ability and effort. And if the task is too hard, what you can do is learn from it, go into paper trading and understand the conditions and understand how to trade off of them. This is very important. So let's go with the next slide. How do you make the shift? You have to blame yourself, not the chart. The market's not rigged. What you should do is understand why you hit your stop loss. Maybe your stop loss was a stop hunt. Maybe your stop loss was a trade going to a discounted zone or whatever. All these things right there, you have to journal them and you have to understand them. If you blame yourself, you will understand why. As an example, let's say I had a loss, right? And I've entered at the top of a fair value gap and I put my stop loss at the bottom of a fair value gap, right? Let's say price goes for the fill, it takes me out and then it just goes higher, right? That is my fault as the executioner, right? As a trader, you are the executioner, risk manager, also trade manager. It is a very hard job. If you know how to do these three things, you'll be winning in the markets every day. You should learn what specific thing caused you to hit your stop loss, okay? If you blame yourself, you'll understand and you'll learn a lot much faster. And you have to believe that mistakes are unstable and fixable. A loss today does not mean a loss tomorrow. Focus on adapting, not being lucky. The reason being is just because you are not lucky, okay? A loss today is not gonna define you tomorrow. A Lamborghini lifestyle is not built in 5 days. You have to understand that. This is very important. Just take a breather and just go on with the next day. The markets are always there, 24/5. Maybe a bit less than 24/5, depending if you trade crypto, of course, or not. But anyways, focus on controllable elements. You can't control that markets, but you can control your entries, stops, and size, and your patience, of course. If you're patient with your trades, you'll be able to go miles. And define success as a process, not as an outcome. Winning or losing money does not define you. Executing your plan flawlessly does. And that is a very important thing to understand. If you know how to make the shift, you will become profitable. Next, your thinking changes your game. Going back to the need to avoid failure, need to achieve type of person, right? You short Nasdaq, it reverses and you lose. If you were in the need to avoid failure type of mentality, you'd be thinking that the market is rigged and you have no say within the market. No one has a say in the market. I'm sorry to break it down to you. You need to be a need to achieve type of person, right? So what they would do is think of it like this. I've misread the chart. Next time I'll wait for confirmation because I'm way closer than ever now. The reason being is because the need to achieve has understood the cue of why he's hit a stop loss. That's why he's closer to his target of being profitable. This is very important. Every time you put yourself down, you're turning yourself worse. The less self-esteem leads to riskier trades in which you will rely on luck rather than technical analysis. You're a trader, you're a professional, so you need to stay professional. This is very important. And let's talk about the last thing. Think about it like this. If you are a need to achieve type of person, trading becomes a craft, right? You learn. As an example, I want to be an electrician, right? I have to learn step by step on how to be an electrician, and of course, I need to practice with it. So, all in all, I will end up being an electrician because I've practiced, I've learned, and I've done the theory and the practical, and then I will get my certificates because I will be an electrician. Every trade you win and you lose is like hammering the sword of fortune. If you stay in the NAF mindset, every mistake feels like you broke the sword. Every mistake feels like the world has crumbled. Every mistake feels like it's a fatal mistake. Why make it fatal? You understand? Why do you want to make it fatal? Make it like a little cut that heals up on the next day. You'll feel better. If you move into the achieve mindset, every mistake is how the sword gets sharper, okay? Steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron, right? You want to hammer yourself every day in the charts and understand why. Be logical, be technical, be observant, be have that attention to detail and everything. You know, this is how you become profitable. You use all your skills all together, pair them up all together, and that's when you're gonna be profitable. Last wise words. You should fear a man that practices a kick 1,000 times rather than a man who knows 1,000 different kicks. If you practice a kick 1,000 times in the right way, of course, you learn how to pivot your foot and how to use your ball of your foot and how to not like lift your heel depending if you do Muay Thai or whatever. You also learn how to use your hips, you rotate your hips, you rotate your back as well. You learn all these things whilst you're practicing a kick 1,000 times, right? If you practice 1,000 different kicks, you're never gonna master how to pivot your foot, how to move your hip, and how to work your way into getting a more stronger kick, right? And that is it. I hope you guys liked the video. Please do tell me how the format has been, because it was a bit fast paced, but I feel like I've covered a lot and I've been very detailed with that, with what I've covered. So I'd appreciate some feedback on the video. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.